It's been an incredible past week since July 13th. And back in February, I posted July 5th and 6th coming to a theater near you. Now, while these dates didn't exactly hit with what happened in this event here with Trump, it did, however, perfectly mark to the wick the bottom of the market. If you can see here on your screen, Friday, July 5th was the exact bottom to the wick. And we have all seen this video here.
Take a look at what happened.
Obviously, whatever you think about it, it's a really big event, no matter what your opinion. And it's interesting because it kind of also was foreshadowed in a way. I'm not a QAnon follower, but I follow QAnon. And I have seen this, the shot heard around the world. And there was the week to remember and such. And it's interesting because those things are continuing to come up. We can see here the week to remember was posted on July 14th, 2019, which is almost, like to the day several years back. So at any rate, what we can all learn from this is the power that these pivotal moments have, because all that was simply a midpoint between the eclipses. This looks a little cluttered, probably, but it's not really as complicated as it looks. You can see here, back here, we have this is a lunar eclipse followed by the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse followed by the solar eclipse, and the exact midpoint here is this red area, and so that marked the market bottom perfectly. And right after that, we had this event on the world stage. So um, just keep in mind the power that the solar system is playing in the market that we're in. I have posted a significant number of times how Trump is connected to the number 88, and you can see he's used it in his text Trump to 88022 since probably 2016, as far as I know. And when you type his name, Trump, into Gematria calculator, you get 88, which is also interesting because you get 24, which is specifically tied to this year, 2024, and to the number 25, which is directly related to cryptocurrency. And while it is very crazy to have just witnessed some type of assassination attempt, I keep saying it's a war. And if you keep that mentality, it's all going to start to make a lot more sense. And you look here to see in the past where all of these assassinations and assassination attempts have coincided with these large changes in the financial system, it's probably a little less shocking. And so, to quickly highlight what those were, we see the Lincoln assassination coincided with greenbacks. Greenbacks were a pivotal financial strategy to support the Civil War effort. This led to significant fluctuations in the value of gold relative to paper currency, impacting the economy and financial markets. And then in Kennedy's presidency, silver was used in coins and silver certificates, which could be exchanged for silver. The Coinage Act of 1965, initiated during his term and passed after his assassination, removed silver from dimes and quarters and reduced its content in half dollars due to a silver shortage and rising costs. The era around the assassination attempt on President Reagan coincided with the end of the gold standard, as well as gold prices peaking in 1980 and then began to decline in the early 1980s due to economic policies aimed at controlling inflation. And so now what we see is Trump has established himself as a pro crypto candidate in the US, which will take power away from governments and their printing press. This is happening as the euro dollar is dying and an immense shift in global power is underway. And so it comes to me as no surprise when I start to see Trump being correlated with crypto and especially with XRP. If you've watched me before, you've seen that I point out predictive programming, and this is one of those things that I think is definitely along those lines. You see Trump here at one of the last rallies he was at, says XRP is not a security directly on his forehead, and on the banner for the newscast, it says flipping the script. If you want to get into the gematria, is also 666 right here. You have 6 and then 2 6. So 666, like the rise of the phoenix, the exact day the XRP bottomed, and all the ties to the Back to the Future 88-mile-an-hour time travel Biff, sort of narrative. It's not a surprise to me. And you can further tie this in to his flipping of the script, to Joel Katz, David Schwartz's literal flipping of the script. Script is another way to say font or text. And he says the rest of this tweet is upside down and hard to read. What is red and bad for your teeth? A brick. And you could go and speculate for a long time about what all of those possible meanings mean, but you can see that he has flipped the script. Trump is flipping the script, and there are big changes underway. You can't help but laugh a little bit how the Illuminati card game has predicted this in some fashion or another since 1986, when you have a sniper card and you have this character who looks a lot like Trump yelling, "Enough is enough." You can type that up and see exactly how that looks like Trump perfectly. And then the charismatic leader, of course. All of this seemingly ushering in the Trump trade, which I like to call the bells and whistles for this cycle. You can see multiple news outlets such as Business Insider, the Economic Times, something, and whatever this is, all talking about the Trump trade, which all interestingly enough coincided with Fly Me to the Moon, which came out pretty much right around when the market bottomed. And so while all of that is kind of fresh and in your head and marinating, I want you to listen to this recent podcast between Waters Above and the Bearable Bull.
And I think this 9/11 symbolism is very important to talk about here because the first tower could be representative of his arrest. The second tower or the twin tower could be representative of the assassination attempt. And then remember
Bro,
it in 9/11, you had Tower 7. So I told everyone in this decode, this is free game here, guys. I told everyone in this decode that you want to look for something symbolic of the number 7 with Donald Trump to be next, and then it will come not fully complete the ritual because then next you have the pentagon, which is the pentagram. And anyone who studies magic or alchemy, there's a reason why they draw pentagrams on the floor before they do these ceremonial rituals. So it's fucking weird shit. It's just what they do though. This is what they're into, and this is why they control the world. So yeah, you want to look for the number 7 coming next, and that's very telling that I think August is gonna be something. I think August is going to be something. And with Tower 7, the way that it fell was it just fell with no plane. They didn't say any bombs, obviously. It just fell nicely. You know what I think Tower 7 might be symbolic of here? And this is my first time ever saying this, and I'm just kind of like throwing out my initial intuitive idea because, again, I just decoded this for the first time yesterday.
Mm.
Tower 7 is Biden because he just falls like
yes,
he's literally
yes, the
gonna,
motherfucker's gonna die. Yeah, I know he's
exactly.
gonna die.
I
I've
think
said
that's
he's
going to
gonna.
be it. I
I
think
said
that's
he's
going to be
gonna
it.
die. They have to kill him. They have to kill him, or at least
Okay, so I can't help but laugh at that. It's just ridiculous. But I thought it was really weird because he said that in that podcast, and then Elon Musk, I think, right around the same time, maybe right after, said they're taking Biden fishing soon. You know what they say in the mafia, sleeping with the fishes? Yeah, weird. Now, so I'm not totally sure on this August new moon thing. I trust waters above, and I think that something very well could happen. But another way to look at this is how he was talking about like the September 11th, like 9/11 rituals, and Sept is actually 7. And so that could mean like you should look at September as not the ninth month, but as the 7th month. And when you look at this and all the other ways that we have like correlations here, our next big eclipse comes September 17th or 18th, it looks like. And then the solar eclipse is October 2nd. And then you have the fall equinox happening right in the middle of those two. And so that September date is pretty interesting to me because, to reiterate, September being the 7th month, October, not the 10th month, but the 8th month, November nova, not the 11th month, but the 9th, and December, the 10th month, not the 12th. So that area with all of this other celestial energy could be very important with going what he said about the number 7. And I like to look at this in this kind of way too. Eclipses, our eclipse seasons, this cycle, have happened here right around FTX. And then this kind of, so a bottom, and then kind of the peak around this area, and then kind of the bottom here. These were all eclipse seasons. And so then we move into this next one. And so you have these like pivotal kind of things like bottom, top, bottom, top. And so here I think the dynamic of that all changes. We come into this range here on a top, and then we pivot perfectly square in the middle of these two eclipses, 88 days on each side of the eclipse. And that's also tied into like some Trump conspiracy theory kind of stuff. And so we get that energy flip right there happening right dead center. And so it tells me we're probably going to pivot again on one of these major energy points. It could be exactly on the eclipse day, as we've kind of been seeing, or it could be on the midpoint, which happens right around the new year, which is interesting enough. That next midpoint in the eclipses, which will be these eclipses here, 1 and 2, and that midpoint is right on January 1st. The U.S. fiscal year ends in October, and the Gregorian calendar year end comes in the end of December or January. So these next two areas, I see like really high energy, something going on kind of with both of them. I couldn't really tell you what happens just yet. It seems like as we get close, we get more hints and that kind of thing. But then again, what Elon Musk said, that could be kind of a hint. You don't know. He's working up there with those elites. And then very interestingly enough, the last couple bearable guy posts that we've seen over the years, this one here is actually, I want to say, in December, because they're in a greenhouse and you see Santa's sleigh over there. So weird, right? Because then you look at the chart and it's like, is this when XRP moons? Because then you also have like these other connections here, like with all of this going down, like, it mooning in December. I think each one of these potential future things are a potential market top or pivot. And so we have, this like September, October area. We have this December, January area. We could even have this like March kind of area, and maybe there's a crash in there. It's hard to say because it depends on what happens before then. So this could like rise up into here and then correct into here and then rise up even more into there. And so you have something that looks like that. But then you could also have this go here and then go down here and then rise up there. And then this could go down here even further, but then back up. But then if you put the Gann fan on here and then the Fibonacci retracement and a couple fucking hearts and unicorn horns, then I think you should have a pretty clear idea of what's going to happen. And of course, I shouldn't need to remind you all that this is just
speculation.
In which the definition gives you is a literal guess or a message expressing an opinion based on an incomplete evidence, and in which we must speculate in a speculative space. Do not forget. Which leads me back to this cue drop with the boom, 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 a week to remember, dark to light, blackout necessary. Well, we have Microsoft clients getting hit by a massive global outage, as well as the CHAPS payment system going down. Is this all happening as XRP is starting to moon? We are seemingly entering a financial crisis. I believe there are a few other more, so does this lead to blackouts? Perhaps only time will tell.
Pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. the COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
And on that note, I'd like to give some extra thanks to Mr. and Mrs. for showing me some cool programs and introducing me to this really amazing new sounding mic. So thanks, guys. See y'all in the next one.